In the heart of Willow Creek, an unassuming town dotted with classic American houses, stood an old Victorian that had long been the subject of local lore. Its paint was peeling, and the windows, once vibrant, were now clouded with age. But what truly set the Hawthorne House apart were the whispers that seemed to emanate from its very walls. Decades ago, the Hawthorne family had moved in, lured by its charm and a price that seemed too good to be true. The mother, Eliza, was an artist, her husband James a historian. They had 2 children, Lydia and Ben. From the outset, the family reported strange occurrences, soft giggles echoing through empty rooms, shadows flitting just beyond the edge of vision. But it was one fateful autumn evening that would change their lives forever. On a particularly chilly night, the air thick with the scent of damp leaves, Eliza was in her studio painting the sprawling oak tree in the yard, its branches reaching like skeletal fingers into the twilight sky. As she worked, she felt an odd presence, a chill that wrapped around her like a shroud. Dismissing it as the cold, she pressed on. But the whispers began, soft, urgent, almost like a plea. They seemed to call her name, weaving through the air like a lullaby. Curiosity overcame her, and she followed the sound, stepping into the long-abandoned attic. Dust motes danced in the pale light as she climbed the creaky staircase, and there, among the forgotten relics of the past, she found an old trunk. It was locked, but the moment she touched it, the whispers intensified, filling her mind with a cacophony of voices, both desperate and sorrowful. Against her better judgment, Eliza forced it open. Inside, she discovered a collection of yellowed letters, each one detailing a tragedy. A tale of a previous occupant who had lost a child, a spirit seeking closure. As she read, the room grew colder, and she felt a presence behind her. Turning slowly, she was met by the flickering figure of a woman dressed in white, her eyes hollow with grief. "Help me?" the apparition whispered, her voice echoing with the weight of centuries. The spirit was trapped, bound to the house by the heartache of a lost child. Eliza, feeling an overwhelming sense of compassion, vowed to help her find peace. The following days became an obsession. The whispers persisted, guiding Eliza to hidden nooks and crannies where she unearthed more letters, each revealing pieces of a tragic history. Lydia and Ben, sensing their mother's growing obsession, became wary, haunted by the feeling that something was not quite right. James, however, remained supportive, even as the household grew increasingly tense. One stormy night, as thunder rumbled ominously overhead, Eliza performed a ritual she had learned through the letters, hoping to release the spirit. She lit candles around the living room, each flame flickering like the heartbeat of the house itself. As she spoke the incantation, the whispers crescendoed, and the temperature plummeted. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows as if the house itself was protesting. Suddenly, a crash echoed from the attic, a sound so violent it sent chills down her spine. Fearing the worst, Eliza rushed up the stairs, her heart racing. There, in the flickering candlelight, she saw the figure again, this time more defined, more urgent. "Please, remember me," the spirit implored, as the walls trembled around them. In a final surge of determination, Eliza spoke the name she had unearthed from the letters, a name long forgotten, a name that belonged to the lost child. At that moment, the air crackled with energy, and the spirit's eyes filled with gratitude. With a gentle smile, she began to dissolve into the shadows, the whispers fading into a soft sigh. The house settled, the tension lifting as if a great weight had been released. Eliza returned to her family, relieved but forever changed by the experience. The whispers of Willow Creek became a distant memory, and the Hawthorne family found solace in their home once more. Years later, the house still stands, its weathered facade telling tales of the past. But now, as the sun sets and casts long shadows across the yard, it's said that the spirits rest peacefully, their stories finally heard. And on quiet evenings, if you listen closely, you might still catch the faintest of whispers, a reminder of the love that transcends even the boundaries of life and death. As the seasons changed, so did the Hawthorne House. Once again vibrant, it became a beloved home, filled with laughter and creativity. Eliza painted with renewed fervor, channeling the energy of her past experiences into her art. But, as the years rolled on, a peculiar undercurrent stirred beneath the surface. A sense that not all was as it seemed. One brisk autumn evening, while sorting through old boxes in the attic, Lydia stumbled upon a dusty journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Its leather cover was cracked and worn, and as she opened it, she discovered it belonged to a previous occupant, a young girl named Clara, who had lived in the house long before the Hawthorns. Clara's entries detailed a life filled with wonder, but also hinted at a darker shadow lurking within the walls. As Lydia read, she felt an uncanny connection to the girl, her emotions weaving together like threads in a tapestry. In the following weeks, Clara's journal became an obsession for Lydia. The more she read, the more the words seemed to pulse with life, as if Clara were reaching out from the past. One entry caught her eye, an ominous note about a hidden room in the house, a place where the echoes of sorrow lingered. Curiosity piqued, Lydia confided in her younger brother Ben. Together, they began to search for the hidden room, driven by a mix of intrigue and a growing sense of foreboding. As they scoured the attic and its shadowy corners, the siblings began to experience strange phenomena. Whispers echoing down the hall, fleeting glimpses of a girl in white darting just out of sight. Each occurrence stirred something deep within Lydia, igniting a desire to uncover the truth of Clara's life and her untimely fate. Meanwhile, Eliza remained unaware of their investigation, lost in her work. But she, too, began to feel an unsettling shift in the atmosphere of the house. Her paintings, once filled with vibrant colors and joyous scenes, took on darker tones. Shadows danced ominously in the corners of her vision, and the whispers she thought had faded now returned, more insistent than ever. One night, while Lydia and Ben were searching the basement, they discovered a series of peculiar symbols etched into the stone walls, symbols that mirrored those found in Clara's journal. As they traced the patterns with their fingers, a chill swept through the room, and the air crackled with energy. Suddenly, a gust of wind extinguished their lantern, plunging them into darkness. "Did you feel that?" Ben whispered, his voice trembling. The echoes grew louder, swirling around them like a tempest. Just then, a low creak resonated above, followed by a distant sound resembling a child's laughter, both enchanting and haunting. The siblings exchanged nervous glances, fear and curiosity battling within them. Determined to confront the source of the commotion, they ventured upstairs, each step echoing in the stillness. As they reached the attic door, it swung open with a slow creak, revealing an ethereal glow that spilled into the hallway. They hesitated, but the urge to discover the truth was too powerful. Inside, they found Eliza standing in front of her easel, lost in a trance. The painting before her was unlike anything they'd seen, a swirling blend of vibrant colors mingling with shades of gray, depicting a girl reaching out from a foggy abyss. It was Clara, her eyes filled with longing and sorrow. "Mama!" Lydia's voice broke the spell, and Eliza turned, her expression one of bewilderment. "What are you doing?" "I don't know," Eliza admitted, her voice shaky. "It's like I'm channeling someone. I can feel her presence so strongly." Just then, the whispers intensified, and the temperature in the room dropped. The shadows in the corners elongated, twisting as if alive. Clara's spirit, once peaceful, began to writhe in the canvas, her expression shifting to one of desperation. "Lydia, Ben, we need to help her," Eliza urged, her artist's intuition guiding her. "There's something unresolved here, something we must uncover." With their hearts racing, the three of them gathered in a circle, Clara's journal spread open on the floor. As they read the passages aloud, the air thickened, crackling with energy. The words flowed like a chant, weaving together their collective intentions, bridging the gap between the living and the spirit world. Then, in an instant, the whispers ceased. The room fell silent, and the atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. But before they could process the stillness, a loud bang echoed from the attic door. It swung open violently, revealing a dark corridor that seemed to stretch on infinitely. "Do you see that?" Lydia gasped, her eyes wide. "It's like she wants us to follow her." With trepidation and a shared resolve, they stepped into the darkness, the echoes of the past guiding them into the unknown, unaware of the truths that awaited them, and the shadows that stirred restlessly within the walls of Hawthorne House. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. As they crossed the threshold into the dark corridor, a strange sensation enveloped them, an electric thrill mixed with a creeping dread. The air felt thick, almost alive, as if the house itself were holding its breath, anticipating their next move. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, flickering with a faint, ghostly light that pulsed in time with their heartbeats. "Do you think we should turn back?" Ben whispered, glancing nervously at his sister and mother. "We can't," Lydia replied, her voice steady but laced with excitement. "Clara needs us." With each cautious step, they moved deeper into the corridor, the wooden floor creaking beneath them. As they progressed, shadows danced along the walls, twisting and shifting as if revealing snippets of the past. The whispers returned, now more coherent, echoing fragments of Clara's life, moments of joy and sorrow that blurred together in a haunting melody. Suddenly, they arrived at a door they had never seen before, its surface adorned with intricate carvings of entwined vines and flowers. It radiated a sense of familiarity, as if it had been waiting for them all along. The whispers grew louder, urging them forward, and Eliza reached for the doorknob, her heart racing. "Are you ready?" she asked, looking at her children. They nodded, their determination fortified by the energy swirling around them. Eliza turned the knob, and the door creaked open, revealing a room bathed in ethereal light. It was small and circular, its walls lined with portraits of children, each one depicting a solemn face, a hint of sorrow in their eyes. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a delicate porcelain doll, its features eerily lifelike. Lydia stepped forward, entranced by the doll's striking resemblance to Clara. "This must be her," she murmured. "But why is it here?" Before they could ponder further, the air shifted, and the temperature plummeted. The whispers crescendoed into a chorus of voices, pleading and sorrowful. Clara's presence surged around them, her spirit manifesting in a shimmering form, more defined and desperate than ever. "Help me," Clara cried, her voice piercing through the chaos. "I am bound to this place, but the truth must be revealed." "What truth?" Eliza asked, instinctively stepping forward, her heart aching for the lost girl. Clara pointed towards the portraits lining the walls. "Each child here has a story, a pain that lingers. I was meant to protect them, to remember them, but I failed." They all fell silent, their voices lost to time. "You must remember them for me." As Clara's words washed over them, Lydia felt a surge of understanding. She rushed to the nearest portrait, studying the child's expression, haunted and trapped. "We have to tell their stories, Mom. We have to remember them all." Ben, trembling but resolute, chimed in. "But how? They're just portraits." With a spark of inspiration, Eliza retrieved Clara's journal from her pocket. "The journal. It has the stories of this house of Clara and the others. If we read them, we can honor them." With newfound purpose, they gathered around the pedestal. Eliza flipped through the pages, reading aloud passages that detailed the lives of the children, their dreams, their joys, and the heartaches that bound them to the house. As each story unfolded, the portraits flickered, the children's expressions shifting from sorrowful to hopeful. The room pulsed with energy, and Clara began to glow brighter, her form shimmering like a mirage. "Thank you," she whispered, tears glistening in her spectral eyes. "You're giving them a voice. You're giving me a chance to be free." But just as the atmosphere turned hopeful, a dark presence surged within the room, extinguishing the ethereal light. The air grew heavy, and the whispers twisted into a cacophony of anguish and rage. The shadows coalesced, forming a dark figure, an ominous silhouette that seemed to absorb the light around it. "No!" Clara cried, her voice now laced with fear. "It's him. He cannot let this happen." "Who is it?" Lydia shouted, feeling the weight of the shadows pressing in on them. "The keeper of their silence," Clara replied, trembling. "He thrives on their despair. If you don't finish what you started, he will reclaim their voices and mine." The figure loomed closer, its eyes glowing like coals, burning with fury. Eliza clutched her children protectively. "We won't let that happen. We have to fight for them." Driven by desperation, Lydia rushed back to the pedestal, scanning Clara's journal for any remaining stories. "We need to remember them all," she shouted, her voice piercing through the growing darkness. "They deserve to be heard." As Eliza and Ben joined her, they read aloud in unison, pouring their hearts into each word. The room vibrated with energy, the shadows writhing in protest as they fought to maintain their hold. The portraits shimmered brightly, each child's spirit igniting with newfound hope, rising from the confines of their painted prisons. In that moment, Clara transformed, her spirit entwining with the essence of the other children, a radiant beacon of light shining against the encroaching darkness. "Together, we are stronger," she cried, and the collective voices of the children filled the room, drowning out the anger of the dark figure. But the battle was far from over. The figure surged forward, a vortex of darkness intent on snuffing out their light. "You think you can break my hold?" it bellowed, its voice a low growl. "You are nothing against the weight of their silence." With their voices rising in defiance, Eliza, Lydia, and Ben stood firm, united in their purpose. The power of their love and determination clashed against the darkness, creating a surge of light that pushed back against the malevolent presence. "Remember them." Clara's voice soared above the chaos, a clarion call that resonated through the very fabric of the house. "Remember us, and we will be free." In a final surge of collective will, they poured their hearts into the stories, casting aside their fears and doubts. The room exploded with light, the darkness swirling violently before being consumed by the brilliance of their shared memories. The oppressive figure writhed, howling in rage as it was drawn into the light, its power waning. And then, in an instant, it was gone. The room fell silent, the portraits glowing with warmth as the children's spirits finally found peace. Clara, radiant and free, turned to them with tears of gratitude in her eyes. "You did it," she whispered, her form shimmering one last time. "You set us free." As the light began to fade, Lydia felt a warmth envelop her. The room transformed, becoming a sanctuary of memories, a place where the whispers of Willow Creek would echo forever. No longer a haunting, but a celebration of lives once lived. But as the light dimmed, a lingering question remained in the air, a reminder that some echoes might never truly fade. As the warmth of Clara's spirit began to dissipate, the room settled into a profound stillness, as if the house itself was taking a deep breath after a long-held sigh. Lydia, Ben, and Eliza stood together, hearts racing, surrounded by the glow of the portraits, now vibrant and full of life. The oppressive darkness that had once threatened them was gone, but an unsettling calm lingered, like the stillness after a storm. "Did we really do it?" Ben whispered, eyes wide as he gazed around the transformed room. The portraits, once shadowed and sorrowful, now glimmered with soft, joyful light. Each child appeared to smile, their spirits finally free. Eliza placed a reassuring hand on her children's shoulders. "I think we did. We honored their stories, gave them a voice again." Yet, even as she spoke, a lingering doubt gnawed at her. But what about Clara? She was different. She had a purpose. Is she truly gone? Lydia, still clutching the journal, opened it to the last pages where Clara's name was etched among the others. Her story was intertwined with the house. We set her free, but it felt like she was still connected to this place somehow. As if in response to Lydia's words, the atmosphere shifted. A gentle breeze swept through the room, rustling the pages of the journal. The light dimmed slightly, and a flickering shadow danced across the walls, a reminder that not all remnants of the past were gone. Then, from the corner of the room, A whisper floated into the air, soft yet insistent. "Remember me, remember us." The voice was faint, but unmistakable. Clara's essence still lingered, an echo of her spirit intertwined with the very fabric of the house. "Clara?" Lydia called, stepping forward. "Are you still here?" The shadows coalesced once more, and Clara's figure materialized, shimmering with a soft glow. "I am here, but not as before. You have freed me, yet I remain in the whispers of this house. I am part of its stories now." "What does that mean?" Eliza asked, her voice a mix of wonder and concern. Clara smiled gently. "It means that every time someone remembers us, every time our stories are told, I will live on. But there are more stories hidden within these walls, stories waiting to be shared." Ben frowned. "More children? More spirits?" "Yes," Clara replied, her expression turning solemn. "The shadows may have receded, but they still linger. Their voices need to be heard, too." Lydia's heart raced at the weight of Clara's words. "How do we help them?" Clara pointed toward the door they had entered through. "The house has many secrets. You must explore, uncover the stories that have yet to be told. Each room holds a memory, each corner a fragment of a life once lived. Only then can you truly set us all free." Eliza exchanged glances with her children, a mix of resolve and trepidation coursing through them. "We'll do it. We'll help them," she declared, her voice steady. "But we need to be prepared. We need to understand what we're facing." Clara nodded, her form flickering slightly. "You will be tested. The Keeper of Silence may try to reassert his power, but together your love and bravery will guide you. Just remember, the stories you uncover are as important as the ones you've already told." With those final words, Clara began to dissolve into the shimmering light, a gentle smile gracing her features. "I will be with you, always, in every whisper and every memory." As Clara's spirit faded, a warmth enveloped Lydia, Ben, and Eliza, filling them with a sense of purpose. They knew what lay ahead would not be easy, but they felt empowered by Clara's trust in them. "Let's start with the basement," Lydia suggested, her curiosity ignited. "That's where we found those strange symbols. There has to be more down there." They descended the stairs once again, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. The basement was dimly lit, the shadows stretching across the stone walls like fingers reaching for them. As they stepped inside, the remnants of the past seemed to whisper from every corner. In the farthest recesses of the basement, they discovered a series of old trunks and boxes, each covered in dust and cobwebs. Eliza knelt down beside one, the symbols they had seen before etched into its wooden surface. "This one feels different," she murmured, tracing the patterns with her fingers. Lydia and Ben gathered around, their hearts pounding in unison. "Open it," Ben urged, excitement mingling with trepidation. With a deep breath, Eliza pried open the trunk. Inside lay a collection of forgotten toys, each one a testament to the childhoods that had once thrived within the walls of Hawthorne House. But beneath the toys was something else. An old, tattered blanket folded neatly, and beneath it, a stack of letters tied with a faded ribbon. Lydia carefully untied the ribbon, her hands trembling with anticipation. As she unfolded the letters, she realized they were addressed to the same children depicted in the portraits. Each letter was filled with messages of love, longing, and sorrow, written by parents who had lost their children far too soon. This is their story," Lydia breathed, her voice heavy with emotion. "They were never forgotten. They just didn't have a chance to be remembered." As they read the letters aloud, the basement filled with a warm glow, and the air shimmered with an almost tangible energy. The voices of the children began to echo, merging with the words being spoken, creating a symphony of longing and hope. But just as the room vibrated with life, a chill swept through the space, extinguishing their light. The dark presence they had felt earlier returned, swirling like a tempest at the edges of the basement. "You dare to disturb the silence?" A voice boomed, reverberating through the walls, sending shivers down their spines. "You will regret this trespass." Lydia's heart raced. We can't let it stop us. They deserve to be remembered. Eliza, filled with fierce determination, shouted back, "We won't let you silence them any longer." As the shadows encroached, they clung to one another, their collective strength igniting a spark of courage within them. They would not be afraid. Together, they would face whatever darkness awaited, and they would uncover the stories hidden in the Hawthorne House. Stories that needed to be told, not just for Clara, but for all the lost souls entwined within its walls. With renewed purpose, they prepared to confront the shadows, ready to shine a light on the darkness and reclaim the voices of those who had been silenced for far too long. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. As the shadows loomed closer, an oppressive weight settled over the basement, the very air thick with foreboding. The dark figure began to take form, swirling like smoke into a menacing silhouette, its eyes glowing with malice. "You think you can fight me? I thrive in their silence. I will consume your voices, just as I have theirs." Eliza, Lydia, and Ben stood together, their hearts pounding, but they refused to be cowed. "You will not silence us," Eliza shouted, her voice steady and strong. "We will remember them all." Drawing strength from one another, they clutched Clara's journal and the letters, their very essence intertwined with the lives of the lost children. "We know your power feeds on despair, but we will not give in to fear," Lydia declared, her voice rising above the encroaching darkness. As they spoke, the energy in the room shifted. The letters fluttered like wings in the breeze, and the echoes of the children's laughter filled the air, mingling with the words they had read. Each phrase seemed to weaken the shadows, sending ripples of light through the basement. With a surge of determination, Ben stepped forward. "You're nothing without their pain. They deserve to be remembered." He began to recite one of the letters, his voice strong and clear, filled with the warmth of love that had been lost. As he spoke, the dark figure recoiled, the shadows swirling violently around it. "No! Stop!" it bellowed, but Ben pressed on, his words unyielding. Eliza and Lydia joined him, each reciting their own letter, their voices rising in a powerful chorus. "They loved you," Eliza read from a mother's letter, "and they will always be with you." With each spoken word, the light grew brighter, the warmth spreading throughout the basement like a wildfire. The shadows twisted and writhed, struggling against the illumination that poured from their hearts. The figure screamed, a sound filled with rage and despair. "You cannot break my hold," it howled, but cracks began to form in its dark form, like a mirror shattering under pressure. The echoes of the children's laughter rang louder, filling the room with hope. "Remember us," the voices urged, a united plea that resonated through the walls. "Set us free." The basement erupted with light, the shadows exploding outward, unable to withstand the force of love and remembrance. The dark figure dissipated, its anguished cries fading into nothingness as it was consumed by the brilliance of the children's spirits. With a final burst of energy, the light enveloped them, and they felt a profound sense of release. The portraits above glowed radiantly, each child's smile brighter than before, their spirits finally at peace. As the brilliance settled, the basement transformed. The darkness that had once suffocated the space vanished, replaced by warmth and light. The trunks and boxes glimmered as if imbued with a new life, revealing a treasure trove of memories. More letters, more stories, waiting to be uncovered. "We did it," Lydia breathed, tears of joy in her eyes. "We helped them." Eliza wrapped her arms around her children, overwhelmed with emotion. "Yes, we did. We honored their lives. They will never be forgotten again." But even as they stood in the newfound light, Clara's voice echoed softly in their minds. "There are still more stories to tell." The three of them exchanged glances, understanding what that meant. They could not stop now. Together, they would explore every corner of the house, uncovering more stories hidden in the shadows, weaving a tapestry of memory that would honor all the lives entwined with Hawthorne House. As they ascended the stairs, the house felt different, alive with possibilities, echoing with laughter and warmth. The whispers that had once been haunting were now gentle and reassuring, like a lullaby that wrapped around them. In the weeks that followed, they became the voice for the lost children of Hawthorne House, sharing their stories with the town. They organized community gatherings, where they recited the letters and told the tales of the children, ensuring that their memories would live on. The house transformed into a beacon of hope, a place where people came to remember, to celebrate, and to connect with the past. The whispers of Willow Creek became stories of resilience and love, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light could emerge through connection and remembrance. Years later, as Lydia stood in front of her easel in the now vibrant Hawthorne House, she felt a familiar presence beside her. Glancing to the side, she smiled at a shimmering light, a gentle reminder of Clara, forever part of the home they had reclaimed together. In that moment, Lydia understood the true power of stories. They were not just echoes of the past. They were threads that bound generations together, woven through time, ensuring that no voice would ever be silenced again. And as she painted, the whispers of Willow Creek danced around her, forever alive, forever remembered. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.